Welcome to another episode of On the Move with We Cancerve. This show is all about young service leaders and how we're inspired to add a little more good to the world around us. So come along with us. We're on the move to make a difference.
Simple doesn't have to mean bland, especially not in the kitchen. So today, we're gonna make one of my favorite dishes, one skillet apple cider chicken. It is super nutritious and easy to make. Man, it's so delicious. I love it so much. First, we have to wash up. That is one of the most important parts in food prep. Gotta scrub really well, get between the fingers, and then your hands are all clean and ready to start cooking. Here are the ingredients you'll need for one skillet apple cider chicken. We have our spices, 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of coriander, and half a teaspoon of nutmeg, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of dried thyme leaves, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. And then of course, we have our chicken. These chicken thighs are super easy to cook, and they're skinless and boneless, so they have less fat. And over here, we have 1/3 cup of chopped shallots. You could also use an onion. They're both the same in this recipe. And then we also have a tablespoon of brown sugar. It could be light or dark, it doesn't matter. And we also have 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 cups of sliced apples. These are my favorite part of the recipe. And last but not least, we have apple cider. We have 1/3 cup of it, and make sure it's apple cider, not vinegar. Later in the show, we're gonna have a special where we're gonna go to Lohr's orchard and pick apples and get some really, really good apple cider. First, you'll wanna mix up all the spices together. And then you're going to sprinkle a little bit of spices on each side of the chicken. So first, I'm doing the top and then flip it over. Here we go. And do the other side. Doesn't need to be perfect. It's just gonna get a little spice. There. And now, our skillet has been heating up on the stove with a little bit of oil in it so that the chicken doesn't stick. Next, we're going to put the chicken thighs on the skillet. You can hear them cooking. You want to cook the chicken on one side for 5 minutes and then flip them over and cook for another 5 minutes. Be careful near the stove because the grease is popping everywhere. You don't want to get burned. And never leave a stove unattended. I can smell the spices cooking with the chicken. It smells good already. Smells like fall. If it's really sputtering, you can always turn down your heat a little bit. Now, after about 5 minutes, you're gonna wanna flip your chicken and cook it again for another 5 minutes on the other side. Whoa. The smell of the chicken is filling the whole kitchen. Man, it smells delicious. To make sure your chicken is cooked, if you have a meat thermometer, make sure the chicken has reached at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a meat thermometer, make sure that the chicken is no longer pink. We have a meat thermometer here, and we're gonna put it into the biggest piece of chicken. Oh good, so it's above 165 degrees. And now we can put the chicken on a plate. But you don't wanna put it too far because we're going to put it back onto the pan in a little bit. And now we want to melt our butter. So we're gonna put it on the pan. There's no need to wipe the pan because it's all the flavors of the chicken that we're gonna need. The 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. And let it melt into the butter and then combine it so that it distributes evenly. I'm gonna turn the stove on to simmer now because we don't want it as high as we had it for the chicken. But we still want a little bit of heat. After adding your brown sugar, you can add the shallots and your apple slices. Just put them right on. You will also need a little pinch of salt. So we're gonna grab a little pinch and just sprinkle it over. Let this cook for a little bit until the apples have softened. Once your apples have started to soften, you can now add the apple cider, my favorite part. You're gonna cook all of this together until the sauce starts to thicken. Again, you can stir occasionally, but you don't need to fool around with it too much. And you'll want to let this cook for about 5 minutes. And by that time, it should start to thicken. Our sauce is nice and thick. So now we're going to add the chicken back into the sauce. Make sure you get the chicken in the sauce. And you're gonna cook this for another 2 minutes. You can even try to scoop some of the sauce on top of the chicken so that it gets all the flavor. The chicken is definitely cooked now, and so we're gonna make sure we turn off the stove. And then it's time to plate it up. So now it's time to put one of the chicken thighs on your plate and make sure to get some of the apple mixture. That's the best part. With your chicken, you could also put any sort of side you would like. For me, I like to have sugar snap peas and a potato. So we have the apple cider chicken here and some more apple cider to complement this delicious dish. Time to dig in. Gotta get some apple and some chicken at the same time.
Apples are one of my favorite foods. I like them baked, I like applesauce, I like them in a salad, and I like them as a healthy snack. And who can resist a big piece of apple pie? I even like to drink apples. Yep, I love apple cider. So today, we're here in Lohr's Orchard in Churchville, and we're going to talk about all things apples. It looks like Daryl is harvesting some apples, so let's see what we can find out.
Hi, Zach. Welcome to Lohr's Orchard. Would you like an apple?
I am not going to refuse. This is really nice. So what kind of apple even is this?
This is an Ida Red. It's a semi-sweet apple, all-purpose apple, good for baking, cider, and eating.
That's really good to know, and I love apples, so I'll make sure to keep that in mind. How did you get into the apple picking business?
Well, when I married my wife, I came into the business about 20 years ago, and the rest is history.
Well, that's good to know, and I know that you have so many different types of apples here. So I was wondering if we can go to your farm market and check out all the apples and what they're best used for.
Sure, let's go.
All right, let's go. There are so many apples in front of me right now. It is hard to comprehend how many there actually are. But what apples are even in this bin?
Okay, we have 5 different varieties in this bin. This is an Ida Red. This is a semi-tart apple. We have a Golden Delicious, which is a sweet apple. And then we have the Stamen, which is a tart apple. And we have a Grimes Golden, which is tart. And we have a Red Delicious, which is a sweet apple.
And which apples would you say are kind of best for eating or cooking, or what are they best for?
Okay, well, your Golden Delicious would be a good eating apple. It's a sweet apple. The Stamen would be good for baking. Let's see, and the Ida Red is also a good baking apple. If you like tart apples, they're good to eat too.
And I know you guys also sell cider here. So how does that process work?
Okay, we use a blend of apples. This would be like our blend of apples right now at this time of the year that we're using for the cider. It's you have a sweet and tart mix.
And how does the processing process work?
Okay, the first step is we take the apples and we dump them in the bin hopper, and then they go from there, they go into a water flume, and they're floated up to the conveyor. Conveyor runs them up to a washer and a brusher, and they go through that. And then they come through and we visually inspect. We have a person stand there visually inspecting for any rotten apples, take them out. And then it goes up the conveyor into the hammer mill where the apples are ground into almost like a apple sauce. And it's pumped from there over to the press. And we have a rack and cloth press. And we fill each cloth with the ground apple. And then we go up 16 racks high. And then we press it for about a half an hour, and then the cider runs into the cooling tanks. Then once it's into the cooling tanks, we'll take it from there, run it through our pasteurizer, which heats it up to like 163, and when it comes out, it will be 38 to 35 degrees. From the pasteurizer tank, it goes to the jugger, and from the jugger, we put it in the jugs, and this is our final product.
Wow, look at this thing. This is incredible. Apples are high in fiber, loaded with vitamin C and antioxidants. They're nutritious, affordable, and most importantly, delicious. That is so good.
What keeps me volunteering each and every day is the excitement of getting on that fire truck and seeing what the next experience is going to give me.
You get put in some amazing positions, but you don't get put in positions that you haven't had training to be able to handle. It's skills that you'll never get anywhere else.
You may not be physically able to become a firefighter or an EMS. You might be comfortable helping in the kitchen area. You could work in the secretarial end. It's not just all physical work.
Come join Harford County Volunteer Fire and EMS today.
Solving mysteries can be fun, but when those mysteries involve the health and happiness of kids fighting cancer, it takes dedicated, compassionate, and hard-working researchers, like the researchers at the Johns Hopkins Kimmel Cancer Center.
Hi, I'm Dr. Patience Odenide, and I'm a physician scientist here at the Johns Hopkins Kimmel Cancer Center. My specialty, or my focus in research, is trying to develop more effective treatments for kids with cancer, especially treatments for some of the really tough cancers that hang on or resist our traditional cancer treatments. As a doctor, I care for young patients with cancer, many of them with solid tumors who receive standard chemotherapy treatment. Many of them are cured, but others aren't. And I wanted to understand why. I wanted to develop more effective treatments for these kids, many of whom were in terrible pain and many who died. In research, we do something called a clinical trial. That means if we have a hunch that a certain drug or treatment is showing some promise as an effective treatment, we test it in a limited number of patients, and we look very carefully at the results. We share the results so that other researchers can take a look and give their thoughts and opinions, or maybe share some of their research to develop this idea even further. I noticed that one anti-cancer drug, its name is really hard to pronounce, but it's called tipifarnib, was producing responses in pediatric solid tumors containing certain genetic mutations in the gene RAS. After testing this in a clinical trial, my research team and I found that some tumors responded to this drug. Now we're taking this concept even further. We're looking into ways this drug can be used to treat other kids with cancer. One thing I love about research is it's all about discovery, and it's about collaboration. We not only share information within our research lab, but we collaborate with outside organizations and programs that help us with the cost of continuing our research. Organizations like the Children's Cancer Foundation.
The Children's Cancer Foundation has been around for 40 years. Primarily, we invest in research, facilities, and programs that advance the treatment and cures for pediatric cancer. We believe that investing in researchers makes all the difference. For the child who's learning today that they have cancer, for their family who's just processing this information, knowing that there is research that will advance treatments and cures for that family is what makes a difference to us, and the reason why we invest in research. That's what makes a difference, and that's what gives us all hope.
I never intended to go into research, but I'm curious by nature and was fascinated by the whole process of taking an idea, sometimes only a hunch, and following it around to see where it might go and what it might do. But it's not only any idea. There has to be a good reason for suspecting that a certain treatment regimen could work in a certain cancer or illness. So maybe next time you're walking down your school hallway, try dropping into the science lab and asking a few questions. You never know where your curiosity will take you.
The We Cancerve movement loves the work of the Johns Hopkins Kimmel Cancer Center, along with the Children's Cancer Foundation. And they love our support, so much so that they gave the Children's Cancer Foundation honored our founder, Grace Coltwood, with their 2024 Hero Award. We are so proud of Grace and so grateful for the work that the Children's Cancer Foundation does to improve the health and happiness of kids with cancer.
In a world often dominated by the voices of adults, it's refreshing to witness the emergence of a powerful new force, our youth. Young people across the nation are proving that age is no barrier to making a significant impact on their communities. From the halls of city council chambers to the stages of school assemblies, elementary, middle, and high school aged children are making their voices heard by advocating for issues that matter deeply to them. We've seen inspiring examples of young people championing the rights of the homeless, demanding quality education for all, and fostering a spirit of compassion and generosity. When I was 12, I spoke out against a proposed local ordinance that sought to fine homeless people for essentially being homeless. I was one of several local advocates for people experiencing homelessness who testified at a city council meeting, and by the end of the night, the proposed ordinance was shut down.
I am an advocate for homeless children. I believe that homeless, sick, and foster children are all children put in sad situations that are not their fault.
15-year-old Addison Golding and 14-year-old Lillian Moss spoke out recently at a Harford County School Board meeting, testifying on the value of keeping the Advanced Placement African American Studies class in public schools. They were among several dozen people, mostly youth, who courageously challenged the status quo. And by the end of the night, the school board voted to keep the class available for enrollment. Our own Gloria Park's persuasive call to action inspired classmates to support a cause that directly impacts vulnerable children. She spoke to a large group of middle and high school students, advocating for the needs of the hundreds of Central Maryland youth fighting critical illnesses and facing other sad situations. Because of her advocacy and speech, her school donated funds raised from an academic challenge to We Cancerve. These are just a few examples of the incredible work being done by young people and communities. Their voices are a testament to their intelligence, compassion, and unwavering belief in a better future. And there are many others out there like us. We believe you can be one of them. Your voice matters. Don't be afraid to use it. Whether it's a local issue that concerns you or a global challenge that keeps you up at night, there is a platform for your voice. So use it. There's no age limit on service, and you're never too young to make a difference.
Wow, we did it! We set a goal to raise $3,000 in 60 days. But guess what? We more than doubled that amount, and money is still coming in. We had so much fun at our Autobell Car Wash, eating delicious dinners at And Pizza and Chipotle, and enjoying key lime pie ice cream at Broom Dairy. We even got a chance to work out at the Arena Club, another fundraising sponsor. Because of you, children fighting cancer know they've got a ton of people in their corner, ready to do what we can to bring a little bit of happiness to them while they face the fight of their lives. So thank you for supporting our fundraiser campaign.
I've had the incredible opportunity to travel internationally with my parents and sister. These experiences have been amazing. I learned about different cultures, different traditions, and the challenges that people face all over the world. For We Cancerve's latest project, I was excited to visit Kenya, East Africa. Well, kind of. I visited the African continent in a single day, right from a house in Maryland.
Hello. Say your name.
Over a video call, the We Cancerve team got to meet a house mother and 30 children who live at the Achungo Children's Home.
And how far away is the school for the children?
Lord, allow me to maybe show you. It's a place of 2 minutes walk, I suppose. I'm walking, yes? Then you'll be able to see the school.
We Cancerve's work with Achungo began in 2014, so it feels good to be in touch with them again. We spent 20 minutes talking to them, seeing where they attend school and church, and where they sleep and eat.
It was something really cool just to see the place where they live and kind of comprehend that, like, they're showing us this is their daily lives. This is what they're doing every single day. And at the same time, they're seeing us and we're across the globe from each other, which is just, it was something really wild to think that this is happening at the same time, but they're on a completely different continent.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool how, like, we're the same, like, we do the same thing, like, we both play, we both like books, we both like games, we both do sports, but, like, our lives are so different. We're so used to, like, our lives and stuff, you know, like, I've never been to Africa. I thought it was really cool to see people from my home continent, so.
I feel like I learned a lot of perspective, seeing something across the world, seeing different from our lives, just seeing how it's so different, but also so similar in the same way.
And it was really beautiful just to see all of their faces, to hear from them, see their excitement and their gratitude. It was so beautiful. I love being in conversation with them and also learning that some of the things that they have want is for books as well as Bibles and even bedding. And I think that that is so crucial because it shows not only just how much they focus on school and education and building themselves, but really that those are things that we often take for granted. And so we were able to ask them for a wish list and see what we can do in addition to the clothes that we'll be donating later on in November with the help of Mr. Paul Abuto. Today was lovely. It was so beautiful to see all their faces, and I can't wait to see where this partnership goes.
Thanks to donations from amazing sponsors, We Cancerve sorted and packaged fashionable clothes that the children will love. A highlight of our time was experiencing Kenyan culture, starting with the food.
Another delicacy is samosas, and as you'll see, they're basically little patties filled with meat, and you'll see it's beef and onions, and depending on how spicy you want it, you can put in some peppers as well. And a lot of this came with a lot of Indian influence when the Indians came to Kenya to build the railroad. They brought some of their influence, their food, and so you'll see that this is a really popular meal.
We also learned key Swahili words.
Jina lako. Jina lako nani? Which means what's your name? And the next word is mrembo sana. Mrembo. M and R is almost together. Mrembo. Mrembo sana. Very beautiful. The next word is pesa. Pesa. This is an important word. Can you say that? Pesa.
Pesa.
Money. This is important. Pesa. Money. Jina lako nani?
What is your name?
Good. Yay!
One day, I hope to visit them in Kenya. But until then, I'm really looking forward to starting a We Cancerve pen pal project with them.
Thanks for hanging with us and learning about the ways that you can get involved, get engaged, and make your community stronger, safer, and better.